Recording in progress.
We're on. Rick, just go up.
I'm going to start.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'll call this meeting of the City Council of the Village of Hills to order. Today is March 11th. The time is 9 a.m. I'd like to thank everyone, council members, staff, and residents for joining us today. Let's begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise and join me in honoring our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. At this time, we go ahead and open the floor to public comments. Residents are encouraged to share their thoughts on matters related to the agenda or any other concerns they wish to address. So this would be the appropriate time if you have a comment on a specific agenda item to speak. Otherwise, I can call upon you during discussions of the agenda at another time if we so choose. So if there's no one in the room in person, we can go ahead and open the floor to people online. Is there we can go ahead and start with anyone if you want to raise your hand, or you can call on people individually.
Okay, I'll go for it. Good morning, everyone. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge that I read the council meeting rules and procedures. Based on its guidelines, I've decided not to take names in my comments, but let's be clear, what I'm about to say is not just about individuals, it's about pattern of behavior that needs to be addressed. They say the greatest measure of impact is when those in power feel the need to push back. If my little newsletter moved some of you so much that you had to put me on the agenda, then I must be doing something right. My name is Karthik Naralasetti and I am the resident of the Hills. As many of you know, I started the Hills Observer because transparency matters. During my campaign for mayor, I made a simple but important promise to bring transparency to the city, whether I won or not. Almost 300 residents, about 20% of voters, supported me because they believed that promise. This is me keeping my word. Before the Hills Observer, residents had to wait weeks for meeting minutes. If they wanted to watch a recorded meeting, they had to wait for months. Sometimes the recordings were never made available. This is not how a city should operate. Thanks to Hills Observer, things are different today. Meeting notes are available within minutes. And for the first time, this very city council meeting is being live streamed on YouTube. So residents who couldn't be here in person can still stay informed. That isn't about politics. That's just good governance. But instead of embracing this, some have made their mission to discredit, attack, and silence me. That brings me to agenda items I and J, which serves no purpose other than to target and retaliate against me for keeping this community informed. For months, certain members of this council have worked to undermine and attack those who speak up. We also saw how a female resident was publicly targeted in a Facebook group before the election, with her personal photo being shared to embarrass her. We have seen the same council member engage in personal attacks, make disparaging remarks about the current POA president, and use sarcasm and mockery in public discussions just days ago. We have also seen deeply troubling accusations being made, even involving children, simply to score political points. Accusations like these are not only false but irresponsible, and I take them very seriously. And it doesn't stop there. When residents ask fair questions, instead of answering them, some would rather discredit those asking. This is not leadership, this is not governance. Now let's talk about why these agenda items are concerning. Item J, a resolution condemning the waste of city resources. The real waste isn't transparency. It's using city meetings to target individuals and settle political grievances. Item I, tracking the costs of misinformation. Who decides what is misinformation? Because lately it seems like anything that challenges those in power gets labeled as misinformation to shut discussion down. This is not governance, this is suppression. To the residents watching, you will see exactly what I'm talking about when these items are discussed. Watch closely how the conversations unfold. This is why transparency is important. There are ethical standards expected of public officials, and using council meetings for personal attacks and retaliation raises serious concerns. I'll be taking these concerns to the Texas Ethics Commission. Maybe this will be a learning moment for some, that public service is about serving the people, not silencing them. To the council, Raise above this, don't use city meetings for personal agendas, focus on real governance. And to the residents, I'll not stop fighting for transparency, no matter what tactics are used against me. I made a promise to this community. I intend to keep it. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you, Karthik. Anyone else have a public comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a public comment I want to make.
Andrew, just to note, you are limited to 3 minutes. We gave Karthik the 3 minutes.
Can I speak for the 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. To everyone present here, as well as the fellow residents. My name is Aditi Ramesh. I am Karthik's wife. I'm a mother, as well as a tax-paying resident of the Hills. I'm here today because, again, enough is enough. For months, we have watched how some of the council members have allowed personal attacks, false narratives, and targeted harassment to take center stage instead of real governance. Ask yourselves, why did we come to this today? We did not choose this path lightly. We love the Hills, like most of you do, all of you do, I guess, and we are not here to change it. We're not here to try to do anything to the Hills. We're only here to contribute to it. After enduring relentless mockery, ridicule, and online bullying attacks that you allowed to continue unchecked, all for public viewing, why did you not try to stop it? Did you ever try to correct the toxic environment that some of the council members have created? You speak about misinformation, yet you've allowed some of the colleagues to manipulate narratives, twist facts, and use their positions to discredit private citizens. And also using this platform to feed egos and suppress voices that challenge you. Let's talk about, again, one more disgraceful act that has happened in the recent month, bringing children into political fights. One of you took the school issue into public, which was unrelated to any of the city governance topics, and have used it against my family. I have reached out to school administration and I have written proof from them that this was used incorrectly for your own personal agenda and political agenda. Let's not forget some of the hypocrisy here. You're claiming that some of Karthik's newsletters is not, correcting his newsletter is not your job. But today that's become your job, adding it to the agenda items. Also silencing taxpayers' resources and silencing private citizens instead of simply reaching out to them with any concerns. If you had issues with some of the so-called misinformation, you could have just reached out, right? But no, that did not happen. I know Sarah had reached out for something about a logo that was not supposed to be used. Karthik took it seriously and changed it immediately. Despite everything, Karthik has also continued to appreciate this council's efforts, including the mayor's minutes, Matt's traffic study, as well as Sarah's logo initiatives publicly, even after you've made it a mission to tear him down. You were elected by the people and for the people, not to dictate what they can or cannot say. So to the residents watching here today, this affects all of us. If this behavior continues, I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to be here every minute, every meeting, to hold this leadership accountable. Thank you for hearing me out today, and I hope you'd all take this very seriously.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additional comment to share?
Mayor, it's Greg Orton. I just wanted to introduce myself, or I guess reintroduce myself, but this time in the different role as the POA's liaison to the village. So I'm happy to be back. Look forward to partnering with you, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Is there Kevin Adams? Do you have any comment?
We mute him, or did he mute himself?
Yes, thank you.
I do not. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Tammy, do you have any comment or anything you'd like to share?
No, I'm just here to support the council and the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And then there's a few phone numbers if anybody has anything they would like to share on agenda or anything else broadly.
This is Tom Harrelson. I'm the 1508 number. Just no comment, just here to listen.
Thanks, Tom.
And, 2267.
Okay.
Angie, just for administrative, do you mind muting the phones that are not currently muted?
Okay.
Great. Moving on to presentations. So today we're joined by Singleton Clark and Co, who are audit. Is she here? Oh, okay. Auditors. I'll go ahead and hand it over to you if you want to present, unless anybody else has any quick comment on audit before, but I think you can go ahead and hand it over.
There's reports right in the middle if anyone doesn't have one yet. Here. Guess I'll stand here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were done, draft,
I'm stand.
final,
This is the final.
okay.
Financial.
The draft was what was in the backup, that's why. I asked.
Yes, and there's only just been one change and I'll go over that, but everything else is the same. Good morning, my name is April Charlebois with Singleton Clark. Just want to say thank you for having us as your auditor again this year. This morning I'll be presenting the fiscal year 2024 annual financial report, Village of the Hills, Texas. Each of you should have a report in front of you. I will be giving a quick overview of the highlights, so please feel free to follow if you'd like. I'm going to start just on page 1. It's the independent audit report. If you turn to page 1, you will see it titled Independent Auditor's Report. The purpose of this letter is just to provide reasonable assurance to those interested that the financial statements being presented are free from material error. To put it simply, material error is big enough for someone involved in Village of the Hills to care about, and we are giving reasonable assurance that those errors do not occur in the financial statements. There's a lot of formal language in this letter, but if you look at the opinions paragraph, it states that, in our opinion, the financial statements of Village of the Hills, Texas, as of September 30th, 2024, are accurately stated. The village has received an unmodified opinion, or in other words, a clean report. If you turn to page 29, this is a statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, budget to actual report. Here I'll go over what I believe to be the most important to the village, and that's your ending fund balance. Your ending fund balance represents financial reserves for the village, and the working capital to pay bills as they become due, meet payroll, and to simply operate. The first column is your adopted amount that you adopted prior to fiscal year 24, and that second column is the final column after all the amendments were made. And the third column is how things actually turned out, your actual results. So if you go down that third column, the general fund had total revenues of about 1.06 million and total expenditures of about 860,000. So this is around 94,000 more in revenues and expenditures. And you all received FEMA money this year of close to $200,000. And so we were trying to figure out what we needed to do with that because the money was spent in fiscal year 24. And so if we had to include it into single audit money, you would have been a single audit this year. And so we've done a lot of research and we just came up with the conclusion that revenue should be in the year that the expenditures occurred. So we made a prior period adjustment and moved that revenue out of fiscal year 2024 into fiscal year 2023. It didn't change any numbers, but we just needed to do it so that it matched up. So, and at the bottom, you'll see that the beginning balance of 748,537, and then that prior period adjustment of 196,940. So your ending fund balance ended up being about 1.04 million, which is still a great fund balance. It's about 121% of non-capital general fund expenditures for the year, and we like to see over 25%, so it looks good. if you look at the expenditure lines for general government and culture and recreation, those two lines did go over budget. So we did have to put an audit finding in those, for those, budgets, limit the activities of management. And so just to have them amended on a properly and timely as necessary, we recommend that, management just monitors the village budget and then make those amendments before year end. And then just to summarize, on page 77 is the schedule of findings and questions cost.
Hey, before you move on,
Yeah.
29,
Nope.
could you discuss the transfer outline and explain what information you intend to tell us with that data?
With the transfer or the prior period adjustment?
Transfers out. What's that telling us?
So that's just transfers that were made either by Joy, the village bookkeeper, from one fund to another fund, just to cover costs.
It
And
doesn't identify the funds though.
no, so
Capital cost.
yeah,
Got it.
it looks like every year there's a transfer that goes into capital projects. I asked about it and I don't know if there's any real reason why, maybe just to cover projects that were happening with the walkway at one point.
Future projects, you have the traffic light.
Yeah.
For $100,000.
Mhm.
Transfer money to capital fund. Have that money.
Okay.
No, debt payments was different.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I thought we did the traffic light in 23, not 24.
No, we got pushed off.
Right.
So,
And so we pushed it into 25 now.
yeah, it looks like it could be next year. Because I'm right now it's a
I
fourth
think-
quarter, so.
Yeah.
That's got it. Thank you very
It's
much.
okay. And I did ask about that transfer because when assigning fund balance, I didn't really know if that was spent or not. And it looks like it's probably wasn't needed. And so Joy mentioned that sometimes then it'll get transferred back to the general fund and then do a new transfer. So I'm not sure.
Right now, it's
I was gonna ask, so if it goes into the capital fund, it can still be included in the investment
yes,
dollars.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so page 77 is the schedule of findings and question costs. Section 1 is the summary of the auditor's results that states that unmodified opinion. And then it goes on to say, we did not find any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal control over financial reporting. I would say over the past year since 2 years since I've been working on the audit, there's been a lot of really good changes and things are looking a lot better, which is nice. And we believe business office, Angie and Joy are doing a really good job with their process of controls. And then it goes down to state, there's no material non-compliance with any rules and regulations. Section 2 goes into more detail about the audit finding with the budget. And following that is the prior year findings with their current status. Those have all been fixed besides the budget one. And then section 3 pertains to federal awards, which was not applicable for the village. So just a quick summary, the unmodified opinion fund balance is at 1.04 million. And then I'd just like to thank Angie again and Joy and Rick for all y'all's help the past couple of months to get this audit complete. Thank you. Yeah, that's all I have. You guys have any more questions? Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Sure.
Take action.
I don't think we do. Yeah, we do on item, I think it's for the end, item Q. If we can do the beginning, maybe.
Yeah, do you mind just maybe move it up now?
I'll send you a final copy. Okay.
And I think we're gonna take action on the report. Can you stay until we finish that in case there are questions? Okay.
Can we just do that? Josh, are we able to just do that right now out of order from reports or anything else? Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and move to item Q on the business items. So this is discuss, consider, and take any action regarding the 2023-2024 audit from Singleton Clark and Co.
I move to approve the 2023-2024 audit from Singleton Clark and Co.
We have a second.
Second.
And any questions or discussion?
I will say if somebody wants to know why those two items were over budget, and we talked about this before. One was the Fence Creek, $45,000. That looked like it was moving into this year. And September 28th, we were notified that they were at the site, and I was asked, should they do this or should they wait? And they said, no, it's a public safety issue, let's go do it. So they did that. But we have a $45,000 budget in this year for fence repairs, which will not be used. So excellent. And the other one was just a slip up on my part. I thought that the tree trimming was going to be done in October, and it was done in September.
Oh, so that was right on the cusp.
Yeah. So that was the reason for that one. And that was kind of a surprise to me. It also was not fire mitigation. It was just normal fire mitigation by the state. But that's good.
Thank you. That's incredibly helpful.
And I'll just say, Mayor, before we vote, I'd like to recognize and commend Rick as our treasurer and Angie as our city administrator for all of their work on putting together the budget and running the finances of the city so that we get a nice, clean, unmodified report. So thank you all so much for your efforts.
They did a great
really
job. And
appreciate
Joy too. We had some of you may not know that the trial balance was not in order after the conversion. And when the previous city manager was relieved of his duty, we had to go back because the way it was handled was improper, and we had to go back and make all kinds of adjustments in April, and Robert was very influenced with that as well, and they helped us out a great deal, so that, you know, if it's clean now, we can move forward and things get booked properly.
Appreciate you getting it cleaned up.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, thank you.
clean books, big deal. It is. Gonna count it as.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
All in favor?
Yeah, so I guess move to, approve audit from 2023-2024 audit from Singleton Clark and Co. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, April.
Thank you.
Thank you, April. Oh, Robert.
Okay, moving on to consent agenda. So these are items under the consent agenda typically considered routine and are typically approved in one motion and vote. Council members, if there are any items that you would like to discuss or vote on separately, please let us know. We can move them out. Otherwise, we can vote on our approval of minutes of February 11th, 2025, and then approve the minutes of February 28th, 2025.
You know, I don't want to move it off of the consent agenda, but I'll say for the February 11 minutes that we have in here, I think on items 8, J and K, we actually have the motions in the wrong place. I think the minutes show the motion on item 8J as relevant to K, and K is relevant to J. So I'd suggest just flipping those back and forth when we do the final version. Otherwise, I'll move approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed, none. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to section 6 reports. Deputy Lopez, we can go ahead and let law enforcement report go up first.
Okay. For the cause of service, we had 1 911 check welfare, 1 family disturbance non-neighbors, 1 runaway child, 1 follow-up investigation, 1 suspicious vehicle, 10 directed patrols, 1 false alarm burglary, 1 suspicious person, 1 assist motorist, 6 selective traffic enforcement, conducted 45 traffic stops. Out of those traffic stops, 32 were issued warnings and 15 citations. Community contacts were 194 and for a total of 310.
May I follow up and ask the majority of those citations and warnings? What were they?
Lately it's been, stop signs and speed. And a few for, no front license plate, so.
Notice the citations relative to warnings as a ratio went up quite a bit. Is that intentional? We appreciate that.
Okay, so we've also increased the time that, for the month of hours and stuff like that, so we're here more. So, the numbers will honestly be a lot higher now, so because of that.
Yeah, it seemed like the total stops went up. So 45 versus an average of 30 or so.
Exactly.
That's incredibly
Yeah, because
helpful and appreciated.
yeah, because even when I went through it, I was like, oh wow, I think this is the highest I've had.
That's great.
Yeah, we noticed that. Thank you.
Deputy, I did have a question about the numbers. I'm looking at this kind of one-page enforcement report that has the numbers you just cited for
Yes,
us.
sir.
There's a total line on the second column of 310, and I get that that's community contacts 194, and then the left-hand column incidents 116. If you add those two, you get 310. Is that the way that's supposed to work?
I believe that's the way the algorithm for the chart does.
Yeah.
Let me see that.
And then my question was going to be, where do you get the 116 number for incidents?
So I think the 116 is going to be for the incidences minus the community contacts. So it's going to be all the cause of service and the traffic stops.
So let's see, the traffic stops are, it looks like 92 total, 45 and 15 and 32 is 92. And so is the 92 plus all of the calls for service, does that equal 116? Is that how that works?
So if you do the total number, which is the cost for service, traffic stops, and the community contacts, if you subtract the community contacts from the total, that gets you 116.
Oh, it's just a subtraction. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. I'll figure it out. Thank you.
Any other questions for the deputy while we have him? Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate continued enforcement and working with the community and the recent posts regarding traffic safety. So we appreciate the communications. All right, Parks Liaison.
So we had a really productive meeting yesterday with the Parks Committee. A lot of the effort was placed around spring fling planning and budget. The committee reviewed the budget together and approved the modification of the Jazz Fest to really transform into more of a kid-friendly event. So the inclusion of the Youth Advisory Committee, food for families that want to attend, face paint, and some kid games. So that was all productive there. There was also another applicant that came forward into the committee, Jessica Sikorsky, who was voted to pass the committee to come to the council for final approval. And that'll take the committee up to 11 people. So that'll be the total capacity on the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Wow.
There was also a couple of members who reiterated their desire to commit by showing up to the meeting. So that was very encouraging that any of the absences before were effectively resolved with participation yesterday. Also, some bids are coming in for repairs. We discussed the different bids to fix the erosion next to the kids' long slide. The quote we got from Cleanscapes was very high. So there's wood that's built to protect the erosion down this hill. They wanted to come in and totally peel it off. And there may be ways to prevent children potentially falling down that area with barriers instead of trying to build a hill. That's tens of thousands of dollars, $13,000 to try to build a hill where that erosion is taking place. So I think there's a little bit more work that needs to be done there. Other than that, that's about it. Angie, anything that you think is worth mentioning?
No, they really Matt and Marty contributed a lot to the meeting yesterday, and I want to say thank you to Marty for contributing what he said he's going to do on the event that's coming up, and as well as Matt joining in on the festivities that are going to be taking place.
I remember when they're going to do a special meeting in 2 weeks' time to do some further planning for the event because it's kind of modified. So they want to go out and actually meet at the park for the next parks meeting for this special meeting.
That's great. It seems like there's a lot of stewardship as opposed to just planning for the events. So that's incredibly helpful. I appreciate both of you guys really spearheading that and making sure that the park is taken care of, repairs are getting done, things are safe, and then making sure the events that we do have, incorporate the multiple other commissions and volunteers that we have across Youth Advisory, the Parks Commission. It takes 20 people to put on one of those events. So we appreciate you guys really taking initiative on it. And all the other volunteers that spend their time doing that as well. There's lots of opportunity for everyone to continue to volunteer.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. For those that want to contribute to the community, a great way to do that is to actually volunteer and put your time into volunteering, especially with the Parks and Rec Committee.
Started to take that soccer goal down yesterday because it's all jagged.
Okay.
And my grandson was over there and I was looking at him going, okay, the metal is now becoming a weapon. So I started to take that top down.
I'm happy to go do that with you. Maybe we can use Marty's height to reach up there.
When you see the jagged stuff, when those kids hang on it and then somebody starts hanging on it.
If you want to mention the BYOB thing and then.
Yeah, that's really important. One of the changes to the budget, it's not big in dollars, but they proposed that the event was BYOB. And so maybe that's worth checking that residents can bring their own beverages, food to the park, and that would include alcoholic beverages to the park.
In lieu of us.
In lieu of providing, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Just mark it down and add it for a follow-up discussion.
Yeah, a few other details like that to be addressed in this meeting, so I'll be in touch with you about those. But that's one that, thanks for bringing it up, Mark.
Excellent. EOA liaison.
I went to the last meeting. Angie was there too, right? Yeah.
I think there were multiple.
Yeah.
There was
just a few.
And so I eventually just said, well, I'm not gonna bother with this. Matt was there, Angie was there. Briefly. Yeah, you were there briefly. I was there most of it.
And Sarah made a presentation.
I think the biggest update that they provided was associated with the date change with the allowance.
Oh, yeah, they have that open from 7 p.m. now. Public states. Probably the biggest thing, just talk about loans. I don't know. It can be very difficult.
Yeah. I think the security committee's done a really good job managing those daytime changes. I know that there were some just hiccups on technicalities around who could go where, and they did a special meeting, did a really good job on taking action and alleviating that. So they've done a really good job with the gate changes. I know that can be an administrative.
They did talk about Uber and getting food through the gates, and security had moved everything to public states, and that wasn't working for people. So they decided to go back to what it had been, which is letting them come in to the loan gate as well. I think that was the big. I think the most time I thought was pretty easy to change. And the way people were suddenly paying with it, I didn't realize that it was a problem.
Sometimes you don't know.
Just following the maps.
Okay, great. You did
Also,
yes.
recognize that Greg Morton is now vice president of the POA, and Tom is the liaison president for Ontario.
Yeah, Tom served us 2 years.
Yeah, Tom's timed out. Yeah, again, Greg already did his intro, but welcome, Greg. So thank you for joining. Thanks, Tom, for all your service and leading. Youth Advisory Commission.
Yes. We had a meeting yesterday. Unfortunately, we did not make quorum, but we didn't have any business items other than distributing event material. So the Youth Advisory Commission has been invited so generously by the Parks and Rec Commission to partake and host the egg hunt for the April 13th spring fling. So the high schoolers are currently stuffing 2,100 eggs for 2 different age group hunts that will take place at the beginning of the Spring Fest. So be on the lookout for notification and communication related to that event. And I believe we only have to date 1 application for the scholarship. So the Waste Management and Village of the Hills $1,000 scholarship is still available. The deadline is coming up in April. So please get those in.
High school seniors eligible for this?
Correct.
Okay.
High school seniors.
Okay.
Great, thank you. All right, MUD liaison.
Angie and I attended the First Creek Mud Board meeting on February the 24th. 3 points from that meeting that I'd like to pass along to the council as an update for you. First, the board considered and approved an amendment to its standing rate order. The amendment related to permitting fees that were increased in an amount to cover some additional costs that the MUD is going to incur as a result of some new inspection requirements from the state of Texas. So basically, the amendment to the rate order will increase certain fees that the MUD charges, but it's simply a cost recapture for some additional compliance requirements that the MUD will be required to follow. Second thing to pass along, of course, everybody knows at this point that we moved from stage 1 to stage 2 water restrictions, and the board discussed that at the February 24th meeting. The general manager did note that in the last 3 months, the inflows into the storage basin for the Highland Lakes, which is essentially Buchanan and Travis, were less than 25% of the average monthly inflow historically into that storage basin. And so we've now seen the notice that we moved from stage 1 to stage 2. And the third thing I bring to your attention is that the general manager reported that he had received an inquiry from the Legends Communities people. They're the developer of the project across from the Lomans entrance to the city. And Legends is asking about whether they can put their logo on the Hearst Creek Mud Water Tower, which is out here across the street. The board did not take action on that, but they authorized the general manager to go back to Legends and kind of find out, what do they have in mind and what would their proposal be. So no action on it yet, but that topic has come up. Angie, was there anything else I missed that?
No,
Hear about?
stage 1 started in March through LCRA, and you covered
March 3rd, yeah.
Yes. So.
Okay.
Great, that's an incredibly helpful update. All right, city administrator.
Hi.
Or we can move on to mayor's.
No, it's okay. The Hills Park, I want to talk about the Hills Park. We had it closed for a while because of repairs that needed in the women's restroom. One of the stalls was leaking, and we also found out that one of the men's stalls was leaking. We had it tied down, but they broke in and there was no water. So I think it's not residents, it's mainly contractors, pretty sure it is, that are making a mess in the restroom. So we got that cleaned up before. We have a lot of reservations coming in for our park pavilion for birthday parties, which is very good. We want to make sure that it's up and ready for them. Other than that, we still have a leak in the men's bathroom. They're going to come back on Thursday to get that fixed. We still do not have the drinking water fountain at the park up and going, and we're doing some research on that right now to see what we can do to fix that problem. Right now, it's going to be a yearly, if we keep that type of model there, it's going to be a yearly expense if it ever freezes again. So that's what we need to keep in mind.
I'll elaborate a little bit on that, Angie.
Okay.
as we discussed, those water fountains are not for outdoor rated. So we'll continuously have to replace components of it. And it feels like the right thing to do is swap them out, replace them, and get the appropriate water fountains for outdoor rated facilities.
And one of the solenoids costs $650, and there's 2 solenoids in there. And that does not, even if we fix them, that does not take care of any other damage that's done to the drinking water fountain.
If I might add, I mean, the whole facility sounds like a great discussion for us to have at our capital improvement.
Yeah.
Bathrooms, everything.
The park in
And the
general.
whole
Yes.
water situation.
Yeah, it's been a challenge. I mean, that's our biggest asset, so definitely need to figure out the right way to do it.
Not yet. We have cleanscapes. There's 2 ways to maybe fix this, and that's with the new dog park fountain or replacing the valve on the top and leaving the existing bowl. But I think Sarah's spot on. These end up being capital projects, and we're treating them more like recurring operating fixes. We probably need to talk about all of this comprehensively and how we go write one capital check or numerous checks, but capital item.
And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Thanks again for the continued work. All right, and then I think there's someone in the waiting room.
Oh.
Thank you. Okay, mayor's report. March 5th, Sarah Carroll and I met with Lake Travis Fire and Rescue Chief Abbott, to discuss many things, just general, if they had any areas of concern, areas of improvement between LTFR and the hills, and then just fire safety hazards for the community and anything we should be aware of, as well as just to provide a general streamlined method of communication between the village leadership and LTFR. So that was a really good meeting just for the community's information. Very pleased to hear that Chief Abbott was extremely happy with the relationship that he's built with the team at the city administration, and as well as just the general stewardship that the prior councils had paid attention to with regard to the fire safety and just general safety of the neighborhood. So he said we're one of his best sections. So I just want to give a shout out to everyone on that. They also noted that they're going to be building a new and improved fire station in Lakeway. So they're going to be turning that one down.
Well,
Yeah, so that's, I guess, so the Loman, whatever that is, Loman, the current one that's nearest to us, they're turning that down. Fire station is going to be temporarily housed over by the police station. They're probably be able to do stuff over there. They're also going to be building 2 additional, one being, where's the other one? By the hospital, and then Serene Hills, and then Serene Hills. So we'll have very good, improved, yeah, which also helps with our insurance costs, but we're already basically at almost the best rating that you can have with regard to fire response and safety.
Will all those firehouses actually be Travis County Emergency Service districts?
Yeah, I think so.
Will it all be one district with 3 firehouses? Or
I think they actually are.
One of them's a warehouse, isn't it? Like more of a.
Well, they got a whole bunch of
They
stuff.
have way more than what we know.
Yeah.
They're tucked away all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, I believe our primary response will always come from this Lakeway one.
Yep.
But then as they figure out the routing.
And they have these mutual aid agreements where basically the closest fire station to where the issue is will cover it. But I'm wondering, is it all going to be one district? Or
Like
will it be separate
six
emergency services districts? For the
six.
different
I think
firehouses?
it's what are we, like 6 or something?
There's 9, I think, in Travis County.
I didn't ask that.
Yeah. I think it is,
Yeah.
but we did not
Anyway,
get
sorry.
into that level of detail. He was
I'm just curious.
just very excited about
Yeah.
what the response times are going to be.
That's great.
And then February 24th, we had a follow-up meeting with, Sarah and I both had a follow-up meeting with Joseph Mullis and the Lakeway Chief of Police, Chief Cohen, as a follow-up to what many call our e-bike situation. But again, these are really electric dirt bikes. And then just general how they were enforcing their new ordinance, as well as how they're just thinking about the vehicles generally. So Lakeway passed recently an enhanced ordinance banning the bikes from their trails and sidewalks. Again, these are already banned from our trails and parks. With regard to enforcement, they've been experiencing the same challenges that we have. And we've offered to work with them on joint communications and an educational campaign for parents around rules, regulations, and safety. And I will note that I think I've noticed, and other people have mentioned, they've seen a reduction in just general sightings and complaints, because I know that some of these were coming in from Lakeway, and Lakeway's really expressed that they stepped up their just general communication and enforcement. So hopefully we'll see an impact from all this coming together. And then,
if you don't mind,
Yeah,
I'll add, just
absolutely.
because spring break is coming up. But if anyone has any issues, to contact the Travis County Constable non-emergent line, or a deputy, so that that's needed. But I'm very grateful for Lakeway's initiatives on supporting the safety of our communities.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just another great way to have a streamlined form of communication, especially as you just think about just the relationships and everything going forward, especially with that new development going across and the increased population density for that area. And then finally, I'd like to give a word of thanks to everyone who's been working hard. I mean, first the council, I mean, you guys show up all the time and spend a lot of time dedicated, stay focused on what's best for the Hills. And I know it's not always easy, and your efforts are appreciated. Same with Angie, so thank you for everything you do behind the scenes and keep us running smoothly, and your leadership and dedication make a real difference. And then again, there's countless volunteers, so whether it's the parks, the youth advisor, or any other individuals that make this community what it is, thank you for giving your time and energy. I mean, I'll say that I know that there's been a lot of strife, personal attacks that shouldn't be part of public service. But I'm proud of seeing so many people stay focused on contributions and not distractions. So we've got a lot of gratitude from residents who recognize the good work, not just on here, but throughout the community broadly. So thank you all for staying committed, positive, and focused on making the Hills a great place. Then we can move on to.
You want to talk about finance today or no?
Yeah, we can do that. We actually have a business item A, consider take action on the finance report for failure. But yeah, let's go ahead and take it over to Rick for a treasurer update and report.
So I don't have that much. We hit budget with taxes. So we're actually full year budget is already in. And I want to move $230,000 over to tax pool. That'll leave us with 3 months of operating expenses in the fund. And that will take our investments up from $1,611,000 to $1,840,000. Tax pool right now is paying about 4%. That's been going down. We had the budget 65,000. I said I wasn't sure if we could make that or not. But we should be close to it. The good news from the general sales tax fund was that this month, sales taxes from the public $42,000. Now that's been averaging about $26,000. Last year we averaged 26. First month we averaged 26. This month was 42,000. So that means they're probably getting more members, which is a good thing for us. And I know they're also doing a lot more tournaments. There's a tournament going on now with South Texas PGA. So that's bringing people in and they're spending money as well. So I think they'll be able to budget again next month. So that's a good thing.
I'm sorry, Rick, can I stop you? Is this A?
Yes.
Did you read it into the record that you were opening up the item? Or did you just sort of, would you mind doing that?
Yeah, just business item 7A, discuss, consider, and take action regarding the finance treasurer report for February 2025.
Thank you.
Okay. So expenses are under budget. I expect that because of the 45,000 for fence. Also, still not getting the law enforcement coverage that we budget. We budget $200,000 right now. 50,000, and that's not where we want to be. Because we only have 7 months left. So if we get more constables here,
that'd be great.
I'm sure.
That'd be great with us. Not a problem.
So expenses are under budget, but probably remember for the balance of the year. The debt's been paid. 160 was paid in the month of February, along with the interest. And we have enough money left in that fund to pay the interest that's due in August, which is about $4,700. So, and there are 3 more payments, $160,000 for 3 more. Only other thing I want to mention, because I didn't do it last year thoroughly enough, and then Angie and I had to scramble. But if you think there's a particular fund or an area that you're going to spend more money than the budget, I would just like to know. And I'm going to start recording that so that later on in the year I know that, oh, the act's going to go over the budget and parks are going to go over the budget or whatever's going on in the budget, so that we can adjust our budget with an amendment saying that we're not spending money here, we're going to spend it there. That way, by the end of the year, we should have enough amendments so that wherever we are, we'll come in with our new budget. And I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that.
To that effect, I think parks needs attention. And whether that's through the capital projects or with some of the repairs that are.
Right. So right now we don't have a budget for parks. Recreation. So all the thing we have for the park this year is the native part, which is $35,000. I don't know if we're doing that or not, but if we are, my wife said we should get going on it.
Given the time of year.
I'm not our native off the nights. It's I can start doing that stuff, but I'm going to mention it. So we
that's a lot for
we do have $35,000 in the budget, and we can you guys can decide. That's available on the cash authority in the fund for it. So that's about it. It's Vincent, moving along. It's going to be a good year. Show it to us.
Good. That's great to hear.
I'll move approval of the finance treasurer report for February 2025.
Second, anyone?
I'll second.
All in favor? Oops, sorry, go ahead.
Did have one question?
Yeah.
This is just for my education. On page 2 of the revenue and expense report, under other income, we have line 4100 PEC, and there's a revenue of 6,700 this month and 15.5 for the year. What is that?
It's franchise fee from PEC. We get franchise fees from everybody.
Yeah. Can we move it under franchise fees, which is the next area below?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. That's in the way it was set up, and I've kind of left it there. But yeah, it really does belong under franchise fees. So I'll let
Joy do that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And that way you'll see the complete budget too.
When you move money into this high school, is there a redemption penalty?
No.
How liquid is it? High school. You write a check on it, so to speak.
We just call and say transfer money.
Okay.
And there's no fee.
Thanks.
That's been covered.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? All opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, let's go ahead and we can just go ahead and do item B, discuss, consider, and take action on the Parks and Recreation Commission volunteer nominee appointment of Crystal Clark. I don't know if you guys discussed this at the most recent meeting or if it was the prior one, if you guys want to.
Yeah, the committee has already approved, so it's on us at this point, obviously. Just quickly on Crystal, I know her personally. She has quite a bit of availability to help. She's actually indicated her desire to be treasurer, and Hayden is currently filling that on an interim basis. So I think that's a very positive indication from Crystal. She wants to participate in fundraising events, the YAC. And, as we think about these events that we have, I think her involvement in fundraising and potentially bringing in sponsors to help subsidize some of these events would be a great next step for her to focus on. She also has experience with the Junior League's park effort in New York. Highly recommend we approve her. We're very lucky she's willing to put her time into this.
We talked a little bit about these sponsors because years ago we had sponsors for most of the events. I'm not sure what happened to that, but
yes,
we got an influx of
property values went up.
Yeah, we certainly have enough vendors that come through the gates that we probably get them up.
Well, I would motion to give the support of the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor? All opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Crystal, for joining the Park and Recreation Commission. Item C, discuss, consider, and take action on the Parks and Recreation Commission volunteer nominee appointment of Jessica Rivas Ready. Then you want to go ahead and
Yeah,
Your intro on her as well.
happy to. So she's offered availability on weekdays. She wants to participate in events, NEAC participation as well. She's a small business owner, very passionate about the safety around the park. A lot of the things that were identified in the recent walkthrough that we did were Jessica's identification or issues that she identified initially. So I think that's a fantastic perspective to bring to the committee. So I highly recommend that we also approve this or her participation on the committee. She's got a lot of energy and good perspective on kids' safety. And the park probably level up a little bit.
I'll motion again, motion that we approve Jessica Rivas Ready for Parks and Recreation Commission.
Second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Jessica, for volunteering. I think maybe while we're on just the park vibe, maybe we can just go, and I know that I believe Matt's got to step out for a call at one point. He's notified me ahead of time.
Yeah.
But maybe we can go ahead and just do item R, discuss and consider and take action regarding approving the services contract for Neat Nest Solutions for cleaning services for the Hills Park Restaurant Pavilion. This is what Angie had mentioned earlier. We've recently gotten rid of our prior vendor for the restrooms, and Angie found some really good ones here that she would get rid of.
They let them vote.
The prior vendor. So we have a new one here. I don't know, Angie, do you have anything you'd like to say about them or the?
Yes, she actually, we went out there, she says that wouldn't be an issue. She actually services a lot of residents in the community.
Oh, good.
And she has a big business going on, so it would be an issue for her to do it. She actually started last Friday, and did it Monday as well. So she's doing really good. She's actually sending me videos of what she's doing. And if there's any issues, she lets me know immediately. That's why I knew about the men's bathroom leaking. Other than that, it's not an increase in what we were paying. It's basically the same. So she can be reliable. If she can't make it, she has a crew, like a business, so they can go in and do it.
Yeah, she actually services my house as well as Crystal had the idea to refer her to help with the facilities. And so they're always in the neighborhood, very reliable.
Yeah, so this is the amount of 180 2 times per week, Monday and Friday, where they clean the bathrooms, take out all the garbage, clean that outside area, including taking care of the trash cans.
Yes.
Okay. What was our prior from Lawn and House?
It was the same exact thing, except when it was a mess like it was prior, they wouldn't clean it. They would just let me know it's too dirty to clean.
I guess before we keep going, should we have a motion?
I'll motion that we approve the Neat Nest Solutions for cleaning services.
A second?
Second.
Okay, and then, okay, so, yeah, so it seems as though it's a better cost, a more reliable service. Because I know that people had sent previously pictures of the trash cans being left down. We had some other just general issues with reliability that Angie herself had taken care of. So we appreciate you stepping in when we really needed it. So
One question,
Yes,
is this a term contract or is it an indefinite term?
It's just the estimate for each week. I asked her to
How long a time period?
I asked her to send me a contract and she hasn't yet.
Okay.
So right now it's just week to week.
So we're going to approve an indefinite term with a 30-day termination?
Yeah, it's under her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she can.
I'm just asking what we're doing.
Yeah, I was wondering why it was up for.
Yeah.
For discussion because.
Well, I think it's probably just discussion. It doesn't sound like we need an approval. And then if we want to approve, if you feel more comfortable approving it when we have the final contract.
Yeah.
But I think week to week, under your discretion is.
And I just wanted to bring it to council because we did not have a service and now we do have a service. So I just wanted y'all aware of it.
Then I will redact my questions.
So it's withdrawn.
Yeah.
here. There's some stuff that we need to shift around in order. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to go ahead and discuss, Matt, consider and take action on establishing a plant native initiative to encourage residents to plant native plant and tree species, as well as consideration of having a drive matching program for trees to promote this activity.
Yeah, so I think the genesis, I propose this, and the genesis has to do with drought situation. And I've noticed on social medias, there are residents asking for advice on landscaping. So perhaps we provide a resource to our residents, whether that be on the website or less formal than that, to point them in the direction of things like the LBJ Wildflower Center and their resources, which I actually volunteer at. But help inform the community of what plants are good to plant and which ones aren't. And potentially consider, and I'll ask for maybe someone to help me sponsor this for the next meeting, but consider a concept that if someone were to plant like a live oak, a mature live oak in the front yard, which I think benefits the whole community, would we consider matching that live oak in the park? I think everyone has seen the damage that the freezes have done. So I think it's important we think about long-term, some of those trees are going to continue to suffer. And that may be an interesting way to promote, individuals investing in their property and also us investing in the park to start thinking long-term about replacing some of that damage that's going to continue to get reflected in trees and plants that are in parks. So that was the intent behind it, but I don't think there's any action needed. I would just like to maybe ask if there's someone that would like to help me think of that and maybe draft something up in the form of a resolution or strategy to push that out to the community.
I have a question. I mean, if we're not spending any money and we're not taking formal action, I mean, Matt can kind of do what he wants, and if we want to bless it, we certainly do that, I think. My question is, does the POA or the MUD already do any of this?
I know that there's some ordinances that we have related to taking down certain types of trees, which I think is great. But I don't know, and I'm happy to, Greg, if you have an answer to that. I don't know if the POA has that initiative at all.
It just strikes me as kind of that would be to me, a good sort of joint project for us to work with the POA, which has a lot of responsibility for the aesthetics of the community, and the MUD folks who have a lot of responsibility for water usage in our community. Collaborate.
Yeah, I understand.
The POA obviously has a landscape committee, and they do have some resources about native planting and some rules. I'm not entirely familiar with it yet, but it does sound like if you guys are going to undertake this experiment, that you should probably tap in Joel Pafford, who is head of the landscape committee and as passionate about this issue as Matt is.
Thank you, Greg. I don't know him personally, but I'll reach out to him.
And Hilda, I guess. I'd be happy to assist in this effort, especially when it pertains to using information.
Yeah, I see a lot of landscapers plant Andina, non-native stuff that require a lot of water. And so what's happening is residents will overwater these plants that aren't meant for our climate. It costs them money. And with the drought restrictions, that's the reality. I also really want to reiterate these trees. Starting to see a lot of lion's tails get trimmed on trees on our parkland, also on POA and golf course land. Those trees aren't going to make it. So we have to think.
Yeah, so I think next step is to connect you.
All I need to plant that question. So, the mud they build a park for irrigation, and it seems to me that there should be a more cooperative spirit here with the mud. That why are they trying to? Why isn't it part of their relationship with us? If we had a water department, we would.
So the playground park, I believe, is non-applicant water.
It would have to be.
Yeah. To add to that, I will say that we do have an issue with the cattails in the pond, Club Estates, and that specifically is where I believe and wish that we had better collaboration with the MUD to help in that removal. They have the tools and the persons, per se, to help get that project done. There are some joint efforts that could be promoted.
If-
Who the
if
right
you-
person is to,
If you'd like, that's something I'd be happy to raise with the MUD folks as the liaison for the council.
Yeah.
And so your question has to do with, we get a water bill from the MUD for irrigating the park. Okay.
Is it for Club Estates Park specifically though, or is it just generally?
It's just general.
Okay.
so,
I mean, they treat us like a customer. With all of them being completed, not community, I'm not sure if we should be treated as us. It should be more cooperation. That should be something that they say, you know what, we're not.
Yeah, can they give the city a different rate or something like that? Legally is a good question.
That's a question for them, yeah.
Yeah, they are regulating,
Right.
I don't know what they do with the club, I mean. Club, all the time, and that's part of their deal. They've got to send it somewhere, it's like. Why aren't we getting?
Yeah, I'll work with you.
Okay.
We can both discuss that together and we can figure out
Sure.
best way to do that.
and if you don't mind, the cattails are in their
I'm not sure.
waterway, but on our property.
Yeah.
I'll
It
try to-
seems like there's
I'm
some,
clear on that.
there's some way that we can maybe get the gears grind together.
Yeah, I mean, at a minimum, yeah, we should definitely figure that out. 'Cause Angie did also spend some time talking with Community Safe how to remediate that cattail situation, and it is expensive. So I agree with the sentiment and just seeing the best what we can do with regard to just expenditures and related items.
Sarah, I'll work with you on some of this stuff. Thanks.
Yeah, and then
That's what I was looking for.
yeah, thanks to Greg and Tom and Hilda, who all have pointed out that we should work closely with the POA on this item. So that the grounds committee and the resources that they have, we can just do concurrently. And I know that there are some issues around oaks specifically, I believe, with planting of live oak. So we can work with them since they have all the information that we probably need. So that'd be great if you can do that.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Marty, I know that there's a couple items here that are kind of on your list here. Do you want to go ahead and do item D, discuss, consider, and take action on training and onboarding procedures for incoming mayors, council members?
Mhm.
And I don't know if I think this is more of a discussion
Yeah,
item
right.
as opposed to a vote on. So go ahead and kick it over to you.
Yeah, I don't think any action is necessary. Well, what I'd like to do is create a sort of transition book guideline for incoming councilmen and potentially new mayors. Some thoughts of what this could happen, again, just so these folks can kind of hit the ground running a little bit faster instead of having a meeting or two where they're trying to figure things out. So again, open to ideas of what it could include, but I think, basic contact information, basic stats about the hills, a summary of city council meeting agenda procedures, basics of Robert's rules, summary of Texas Open Meetings Act, not to be a replacement for actually watching it and doing it, you have to do it. Same thing for Public Information Act, summary of the onboarding that you did with me. I think you were just kind of winging it, but we should document that. And then, of course, we also encourage newly elected officials to conduct further research and self-education, but I think this could help.
I think that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
I know also that the Texas Municipal League does a kind of new mayor and council seminar program or workshop. And I know they've got some recorded versions of those online as well as some live ones. And I would encourage you to put on the list, attend the TML workshop for new council members, because that really focuses on, what's my role and responsibility as a public official in a local government, which is different from being in a private corporation or any other kind of nonprofit. I mean, you have different sets of responsibilities, and I think that workshop covers a lot of that.
Great idea. Yeah.
I would add to the list, kind of the compilation that Councilmember Lee had prepared previously of the contracts that our city operates under, as well as any, resolutions and policies that we have in place. Even just a itemized list. Not the actuals, but a good reference point to saying, oh, we do have this policy. And I can go back and reflect on it in the office.
There are a lot of rules for doing the budget too. I didn't know until I started reading it. After I did the first budget, I said, what about the format? What about the font? Gotta have this font?
Yeah. Yes. Size 14.
Yeah, it's like it's 14. I didn't know until I was done and started looking at them. Yeah. It's got all this stuff I'm supposed to have.
Well, I mean, again, I think there's a ton to learn for each position, but just sort of the basics.
Basically,
That's
that's
what I want.
Yeah, that'll really ramp up onboarding and the ability for people to contribute right off the gate instead of sitting through a meeting and figuring out the flow and the vibe of everything.
Okay.
And I think it'll encourage people to also participate more broadly when they know there's at least a little bit of hand holding at the beginning to make sure they get ramped up and aren't just drowning in information across 15 different resources. And I think Hilda had mentioned previously there actually might be a handbook somewhere that maybe we can dig up or find if it does or does not exist.
So Marty, if you're looking for some help on that, I'd be happy to work with you on that initiative.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
That's great. Yeah, that is good. Great idea, Marty. Thank you. Do you want to go ahead and tackle, discuss, consider, and take action on establishing a city's welcome committee? And again, this is another discussion point.
Yeah. Well, I'll read some thoughts here. So I think, we live in a community that's small enough. I think, a welcome committee could really add to the social fabric of the neighborhood. Alternatively, if we don't do it, the way it's been done is that new residents go to the Hills 101, sponsored by the club. And effectively what we're doing is we're outsourcing community info, such as where to get, where to find information, where to get tags to the club. And I think, we should probably take that on ourselves. And I think the city, not the POA, should manage this welcome committee because, we're serving the actual residents, not the property owners. And yeah, I think, a welcome kit maybe could be a fun little thing to provide for the committee to provide new residents. I don't know, less than $100 each. My assumption is I think there's roughly 5 houses that kind of turn over a month. So we're talking, $400 or $500. But the kit could have, community information such as, again, POA contacts for tags, your amazing spreadsheet of how do I find whatever.
That's a great use of that, yeah.
Community map with the walking trail on there. Maybe some sort of, kind of physical gift like a Yeti tumbler, 2 Yeti tumblers. And maybe a letter from the council, mayor, or both, just welcoming somebody to the community.
I think it'd be really, and this is going to kind of transition when we get to it about the website and stuff, but I think both of your ideas, especially, it could be publicly available on the website. We'll have to figure out the spreadsheet because I know in terms of how I want to share that and give the information, because there's a lot of information that like POA information or otherwise that changes pretty consistently. So you have to make sure that we're really tight with the POA if we want to publish that information. But I think the website also just leveraging this and pushing more information that's consistent, accurate, compliant will be really helpful. And just partnership with, if we decide to take on those 2 initiatives.
Yeah, you might be able to do a QR code
that
goes to a live sheet that is updated
On our website.
so that we don't have to commit to any specific.
Well,
And then are you kind of visualizing this to be another volunteer opportunity for the community for the welcome?
I think that's what I had in mind.
Yeah.
I could be convinced otherwise, but yeah.
Yeah.
3 or 4 people.
I think you'd find those people. I think
The
those
POA,
people.
had this years ago, and then for whatever reason, they decided to come to the city and see if they could get the city manager involved and do a joint thing. And for some reason, personality didn't match, so that didn't happen. And then when Angie Thielemann left, and that was the end of it from the POA perspective. And then again, although we talked about it, and we kept talking about it would be really nice if we did that because you can get more information at the same time. Because if we want to know anything, we either have to go to the mud or we have to go to the club. They're the ones that have all of the information.
Yeah.
We never got it. The city and we didn't get it POA. So it was like we did do something. And the other thing we could do there too is also get sponsors.
Yeah.
who would pay for part of this thing, because if you're offering a service, if you're a landscaping company like Diaz, which is a really big one, they'd be willing to contribute to this and maybe put something in the basket because,
Here's a free month of lawn mowing or something.
Is there a risk that means we're endorsing?
That's a good
somebody
question.
and then-
we didn't see it from the POR perspective, we didn't see that at all. We didn't care who was doing it.
Yeah, but it's explicit we say as a sponsor. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And yeah, to your point though, Rick, I think this is another nice opportunity to see if we can collaborate with POA, because so much of what I think we would do as a welcome committee would also be relevant for the POA, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
But the flip side of it is, I would also be curious if this committee could do exit interviews for families leaving.
Forward thinking proposition. Well, when I saw this item on the agenda, I started making some strong assumptions, and I appreciate your efforts in putting this together because I think that that's a great approach. I will say I am opposed. I want to keep our tax rate as low as possible. So I don't necessarily want to see us getting stuck in providing gifts to our community other than our incredible events that are hosted. I think that is where every dollar we have available should go towards those. But my wheel started spinning and I thought maybe this, because a monthly basis might be hard to keep track of these meetings, they come at us real fast, right? So I'd like to propose the thought of maybe a quarterly process of this and calling it something along the lines of the Hills University, where really anyone, not just new residents, but anyone who wants to come in and, get the updates or see what's, going on, but having the administration for each department there. So having Angie, Denise, someone from the club, all those parties engaged on a quarterly basis for the Hills University. I think that would be a really good tool and something for people to look forward to, just like they do with all trash or whatever.
I would only say that if you just moved in sort of the quarter prior to the next meeting,
Right.
and you're going like 2.5 months or 3 months without tags or knowing where to go. So maybe there's a sort of two things where you have like, we're so happy to then here's the thing, almost as fast as we can figure it out. And then you have a more in-depth.
Well, I think
university.
realtors take on a lot of the responsibility of onboarding for Hills residents. If you've got a realtor who's worked in this, they're not anymore. Okay. Well,
Yeah, they used to.
They used to.
They used to, yeah, no, it's unfortunate.
But yeah, maybe some two-part thing. One that's an easy lift on a monthly basis, and maybe one that's a little bit more meaningful on a quarterly basis.
And again, the intention is really just to put, sort of faces to us. And I think if you had a resource in there of how do you contact us, and there's a letter from the mayor, we're there to help.
Flint Rock has done something similar to that in the past, and I know they had a nice little swag bag that was sort of a carry bag, and they put a couple of tumblers in it and some information like you all were talking about. And I understand it was pretty well received. I'm not even sure if they're still doing it or not.
Would that have been a city expense or a POA expense?
POA. The POA always did it.
Yeah, see, that's where.
No, absolutely.
Maybe the POA would be willing to contribute like the gift and.
So wonderful opportunity to collaborate.
We can also reach out to Waste Connections since they're gonna have to use Waste Connections.
Good one.
Yeah, one of the common questions is what do I do when they skip my house? And having that information in advance would be helpful.
And Guard, Texas.
Yeah.
You got a big contract.
Sounds like a big project, Marty.
It's a great
really good
That's a
idea.
great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd be curious why the POA in the past, and I assume this was like years ago, why they had stopped. Do you have any context, or was it just there just wasn't enough volunteer hours?
No, I think what happened was after Angie left,
Turnover.
it stopped.
Okay.
You couldn't get a POA manager for a long time.
I
Say
see.
more than 3 months. So,
Yeah, that's a big challenge that they face.
Yeah, the context was really helpful to the agenda item, so that is a great idea.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing more.
Okay. I think we should move on to what I would actually like to do is move probably the website stuff,
Yeah.
item L. So if we want to go ahead and just kick off, discuss, consider, and take possible action to select a standard design template for the city's website. And then
Sure.
yeah, go for it.
Kevin, myself, and Angie have met with our Civic Plus representative. We have a packet full of information that we have to produce to them, but one of the most important decisions that we want to present forward to council was choosing the design layout. I sent everyone the links to those so you could kind of go in and actually see how they toggle. And also I highlighted that if they presented, we can't make any small modifications. We'll make content and, appearance modifications, but we can't change placement of the modules within it. And so I would like to discussion. Options 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Are you able to put it on the screen?
I didn't do a share screen today.
Okay.
If you want to look at, if you want to look here.
I've looked at them, yeah.
Okay.
They're in our packet as like a printout.
Oh, and she's gonna hold them up individually?
Yes. Oh.
Oh, are they in the packet?
Yes, they are on page 153.
It's really hard to make a decision because they're all great.
Yeah.
It's a standard one.
And if you go through like I've clicked through them online, so you can get the general,
Yeah.
general vibe and layout. They're all laid out slightly differently.
I would, if you don't mind, I would like to promote standard 3 or 4 for council, just to narrow it down. Standard 5 was one that the rep was like, it's just not, by the way, all of these are brand new designs to them. They've refreshed all of their standard packages or their standard templates. They kept 5 just because it's very basic. It will have a client. I just don't think that we are the client for that. I think standard 3 and 4, I favor for ease of use. I appreciate the 6 icons right up at the top, which if you'll remember, we are paying extra for them to do the investigation throughout how our website is used. So those 6 items will be our most popular or searched items that we have history on. Lean maybe towards standard 3, just because that search bar is in the middle, but I also like standard 4 because of the slideshow on the image on top. Might be a little bit more interesting to go to the webpage on a regular basis if you're going to standard 4. It'll rotate through different material on the top. So I open the floor for discussion before any motions.
I'm completely aligned with 3 or 4. I like the prominence of the buttons at the top, the picture being bigger. I'm with you on that.
Interesting. I looked at them earlier, and it was 1 and 2 that grabbed me the most visually, because it looked like to me that the information was easier to spot and toggle on through there. They're all fine.
The one thing I'll point out on standard 1 is that at the bottom you have to toggle newsflash and calendar versus them being actually on the page.
Oh, so we can't put them up here in these boxes.
I wouldn't, just because they have
They all say agenda and minutes.
right, they do, but they would be, those items would be when they come back with the data of how our website's been used the most. Those items would end up there. I don't know, that would be a discussion with them as to, do we duplicate the information on the homepage or not? It's their best practice there.
Around with number 1, it's small devices on it. So I like
Have we also looked at the web? How do they look on phones or?
They didn't provide us mobile
Okay.
setting for them.
But I imagine it's
It would just be a longer scroll, yes.
Yeah, I think they'll
Thanks.
optimize it for web viewing.
I like
Or mobile
I
viewing.
like three too, because I can read the whole thing.
So
One I can't.
on 3 and 4, would these 6 buttons be the same thing as these
Yeah.
6 on 1 and 2?
Mhm.
Yeah, the content is just a placeholder.
Right. That's why I was thinking I'd put those buttons, make them as prominent as possible. That's why I like 1 and 2.
Yeah, same here. I like 2. I would be happy with 3 and 4, but 2 to me, I also really like that you're not scrolling so much. As soon as you open it up, you kind of see everything. I think 2 is, they did 2 an injustice with the picture, the palm leaves. I think if that was like a nice picture, that might.
I don't even notice a picture. To me, it's just
Yeah.
it's just buttons.
Well, yeah.
Can you make the font on number 2? Bigger?
I don't think we're gonna have those capabilities.
Well, I'm sure we can change the font and the font size, don't you think?
Actually, your own setting might be able to change the font size.
Yeah.
When you're on it. So for accessibility purposes.
Yeah, that's true.
Because a lot of times I
Yeah,
have to go like
change it.
this on every screen that I.
Yeah, I will say, I think standard 4 to me from an end user approach appears to be more approachable. Open it up, it doesn't look scary. You're going to have a rotating image, the slideshow of our upcoming events, ongoings, any surveys we're doing, et cetera. Those would be clickable into their forms. We have the 6 placeholders for the top use pages, and it just, to me, it appears to be easier to navigate without putting too much information out front. I don't mean to oppose you completely, Marty, but I feel like when you have it all in front of you, it makes it harder to find what you've actually gone there for.
Mayor, excuse me to step out.
Yeah.
If I can just leave with, I like 3 or 4 and I'll be back with my phone.
What are you looking for today?
We need to vote
we do.
on a standard, or allow mayor the opportunity to continue to ask questions and have the authority to make that choice.
Between 3 and 4, I think I'd like 3 more. The icons being in different colors, buttons being in different colors, to me, it's a little bit more appealing than all of them being the same.
And our color palette's gonna be more.
I actually think it'll be our color palette, but I don't think they'll be different.
It
They would
won't
be different
the,
shades, maybe of greens or.
It'll be within our
browns.
branding guidelines that we adopted, but yeah, it'll be.
I like
Standard 3.
because I can.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the primary purpose, well, the nice focus of standard 3 is that the search bar is right there. You know, that's what you would open up to see. You won't get any scrolling photos or alerts, which would make it.
Older people.
It would. Standard 3 would make it easier to maintain because the slideshow wouldn't have to be updated on
Yeah,
as much of a basis, so.
And you're not going to the website to look at the slideshow, so I feel like that's not a huge thing that you're losing.
What I like about standard 3 is the search box, which I gather is free text search of the entire content of the website. Is that what we think that is?
It is.
Okay, that would be helpful. And then what do you think we would put in for those 6 buttons?
So the data we get from them will dictate what goes in those 6 buttons. They have a process of extracting all of the past use of our website and saying, these are the 6 top used searched items or clicked on where residents are going to most.
Yeah.
And I think that it would make sense for us to just populate those into those 6, but we can have conversation about that later on as to if we think that this something is actually more important to be there.
yeah, and I mean, that's stuff we can change. I think we just need to, since there are 5 standard templates, we just need to figure out which one we like, because then they can start working on it. They'll put our color palette and then the navigation stuff. I think they'll, from what they showed us on the report and just general, just the service that they've been providing so far, I think that we'll be able to move stuff around and really optimize it based on that data.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, Sarah, I like them all.
Yeah.
They're all a tremendous upgrade from what we're doing right now, and looks like they're all designed to make it easier for our residents to be able to get some information out of our website. So I like them all in that respect. I probably like 2 better than 3, but if the consensus is 3, I'm great with that. And my only suggestion would be, when you get the data from Civic Plus about historical usage of our website, I would take that with a grain of salt, frankly, because I'm not sure a lot of residents really know how to find what they're actually looking for. And so if they're going onto the website, they're not able to find something, it might give kind of a false impression of what people are looking for. So think about that.
Yeah.
Are they willing to mock up too?
No. I mean, we're diving in.
I'm sure that, depending upon the size of the check that we write, they
I'm
mock
sure
up
they would
whatever
be
they
happy to, based on our current contracts.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm torn between 2 and 3.
Well, I would propose that we go towards the 3.
Are they I didn't see 3 of them. Is it easier for them to run 3? Is that?
No, they're all pretty much equivalent. They basically take our website and just marry it to this.
And do we need an actual vote on this, or can we just kind of give you our thoughts and you can run with it? Because Matt's not here to vote for one thing. You want to vote? I mean, he's told you what he thinks.
Yeah.
But that's not a vote.
Yeah. Well, I prefer it have like an action, just so that we're.
And Matt's fine with.
Page 3 or 4.
He mentioned he's fine with us voting out, however.
Right. Well, he ought to be. If he's not here,
Yeah,
he doesn't get a say.
He's happy with with abstaining from this vote.
Just because this is something that we're going to be making a decision on, and it's going to last for the next
How long will it
decade
take to be,
possibly.
to go live?
We're on a 6-month time.
Yeah, it'll be August probably. Because there is a lot of work that they have to do and hold over. But the prior website will be active up until they switch it to this new website. So it'll be a very low.
They'll put this in like what they call a development.
Yeah, exactly. When they publish it.
Just so you know, Sarah and Kevin have worked many, many hours gratitude to Mayor Pro Tem Sarah, because she has spent many, many, many hours on this. So.
All right.
I make a motion that we accept the 3 Civic for the new website design.
Okay, questions? I know I'll allow Karthik, if you want to make a comment on the website.
Yeah, Angie, can you just show like 2 and 3 next to each other, the sheets you have?
Sure. 2 and 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Putting up 2 right now. If you can see it all.
Okay.
And this is 3.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So I just want to make a comment because I'm a designer doing this for the past 10+ years. Looking at both of them, I think option 2 is more the information architecture on that particular page is more easier to understand. We have a saying in design world that design is not how it looks, how it works. So I think option 2 makes more sense in terms of how it works, the way it's laid out. Option 3 is nice, it's modern and everything with a huge banner and stuff, but I think usability wise, I have my own questions on that.
Thank you.
No, I'm not watching the motion. I like option 3 the best. I can see it.
Okay.
Much better.
Any other, so we already had, you had a motion.
Yeah, we got a motion and a second.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
To me, it's good for us to kind of have a consensus on this. And so if 3 seems to be the direction of council, I'm happy to go that way too. So I'll support the motion.
Marty, what was your perspective? What were your final comments?
I think the criticisms of 2 are fair. So I'm okay with 3. I like 3. I'm not anti-3. I think 2 is, small text, a little bit more cramped.
Okay. All in favor of the motion as stated by Rick? Aye. All opposed, none, motion carries. Thank you. Thanks for the feedback, Karthik. And back on the website discussion, we're also discuss, consider, and take action regarding to initiate a community photo submission for the use on the city website and other design materials, including incentive and guidelines for submission by March 31st, 2025, which I think is probably which is tight, but I think we have deadlines, so we have got to keep with, and we can always update later. Do you want to use?
Yeah, so there'll be a link that will go live on social and our website as soon as later this afternoon, or we can get it there. But accepting submissions for your photos. So you'll have it in place on our current website to submit those. And then to save the original in case we need a higher quality than what it uploaded into. Looking for photos that represent our community. So I hope that this spring break, maybe take some time and get outside. The weather will be beautiful. I'd love to see some community participation in that to utilize the website.
Excellent.
Do you have guidelines like people know people, landscapes?
That's a great question. There are no guidelines as of now. The form is built out with a approval for use of your photo, as well as any faces in the photo that they've also consented to using the image by the city.
No e-bikes.
Could I ask a question? Sorry, this is Aditi.
Yes, Aditi, go ahead.
Yeah, about the website. Is there an app also in consideration, just a phone app, in regards to how we could have easier access to any website related, city related items?
If I may, the previous councils have discussed different applications. However, we really just want to make sure people continue to use our website. And I believe by making it easier to use with the redesign, as well as updating the content of the website, will improve that accessibility for everyone.
Yeah, that's a good question. It is going to be optimized for mobile, and we'll make sure we blast this out. I think if the need and desire for an app arises later, we can reevaluate that. But given the cost and the budget for this part, we're focused on the website right now and making sure that's usable and accessible and consistent with messaging and information people need. But that is something that people can consider in the future. So thank you.
All right. Thank you for that.
Yeah, there's no action needed on that one. Okay, I think we should move on to item discuss, consider, and take possible action to authorize the agreement for the use of Civic Plus agenda software. So this is the agenda suite had previously presented the Granicus agenda management software. We all, I think, had general concerns around cost, implementation, and what was required for somebody to maintain the entirety of the package that Granicus was offering. Angie reached out to Civic Plus for us to have a run through of the Civic Plus agenda management software that Lee and Angie spearheaded. What we're trying to do is make sure that our agendas are streamlined, accurate, efficient, consistent, and all within the parameters of making the city just better run and more transparent. And while reducing the burden that is placed on our one employee, Angie, who is really handles a lot when it comes to administration of the city meetings. So that's what the basis for the agenda software was. If Lee, do you have anything you want to discuss on your perspective and what you were hoping to achieve from our demo?
Yeah, I think that was kind of a great summary of where we are right now. So the item before us today would be to approve a contract with Civic Plus to implement their agenda management system. And I'll first move approval of the item and approval of the contract that's listed in the backup with that item.
I'll second.
And I'll say in support of it, one thing I like about Civic Plus is they already do our website. And so the integration between the agenda management module in the Civic Plus system and our current website is pretty easy. We did demo this and ask a bunch of I thought pretty in-depth questions of the vendor, and they were able to demonstrate to us on the website that this is a fairly easy system to work. The way we would set it up is that all of our council members and Angie would be, sort of users. Angie, I think, would be the system administrator, and it would enable the council members to directly put items onto kind of a draft agenda with minimal actual, hands-on work from Angie. That kind of just funnels in directly, so it relieves her of that burden of having to kind of juggle everything at the draft stage. And then it'll also compile all of that stuff into a draft agenda. We can build a workflow into it so that the mayor and the city attorney can review the draft agenda and make any edits they need. The council will have access to the draft agenda for review before it gets posted. And this, to me, is a really important part. If we have resolutions, ordinances, backup reports, or information that a sponsoring council member wants to add to the agenda for the public to see and for the other council members to see, that all gets loaded into the draft as well. And when the agenda gets posted, the backup materials get posted as well, so that they're available to the public and they're also available to the council members to review at the time the agenda is posted. So to me, it's a lot more efficient. Now, I'm convinced, talking with Angie about it, that it'll actually relieve a work burden for her, as opposed to creating more work for her, which is what we definitely want to avoid doing. It looks like, from our perspective as users, the system is very intuitive, pretty easy to use. And I think it'll actually be a nice improvement for us, and it'll enable us to have better definition on where am I in the process right now? When do I need to get this done? And what's my next step? So I think it'll help all of us, have a more kind of cogent and coherent agenda process. That's my thought on it. And the Civic Plus people, I found, Angie, were pretty easy to deal with in this process. We asked them for a little break on when they would increase the annual fee for us, and they gave us a break on that, and are giving us a discount on the year one annual fee as well. So they've been kind of easy. They want the business, which is nice. They've been easy to work with it.
Do you give it the thumbs up?
I do. I mean, it's something that I do already, and you as well, having access to the back of the Civic Plus to put up notices and stuff like that. It's not something that I have to totally learn a new program. This is easy. It's easier than just posting and doing the news flashes and stuff like that. So I give it a thumbs up.
And one more thing that I would mention on it is the module that we would be buying actually has several other software components to it as well that we would not be activating at this time, but which might offer us some opportunity down the line if we feel like it's something we want to pursue and feel like we've got the bandwidth to do it.
Do we all get usernames, or is it read only for us? And
no, we'd be users in the system. So if you have an item that you wanted to post to the agenda, you just put it into the system directly. And you can indicate, I'm going to be a sponsor of this, and I got my co-council member Rick is going to be my co-sponsor on it. So it automates our current procedures, and then I could look at what you put on but I wouldn't be able to edit your work. You can go back and edit it, and I think, you know, when the city attorney and the mayor review it, they may have some suggestions for changes to the posting language to make sure it complies with the Open Meetings Act and all that stuff. But essentially, yeah, we'd be users with login user credentials for it, but we wouldn't be able to manipulate things on the back end. We'd be able to kind of see the work product on it.
And it will go to our city attorney for approval, prior to any posting.
I think this is a wonderful tool, and I love the kick to myself for not thinking of or using modules of our current tools. I think it's always wonderful if we have an existing tool or vendor or contractor that we find other ways to use them. So I appreciate y'all taking into the placing it in.
So we had a motion, a second, and then all in favor of approving the agreement for the use of City Plus agenda software? Aye. All opposed, none. Motion carries. Thanks, Angie. Thanks, Lee, for carrying that through. All right, moving on. We're going to go ahead and tackle item P, discuss, consider, and take possible action related to an agreement with DC3 for cybersecurity services for the city. And this is what we've been bouncing around. So there is a need for enhanced cybersecurity, just broadly, especially when coming to the city, people's private information, emails getting sent around, general phishing, hacks, and other vendors that we've discussed in the past. We've had sessions with, if people refer to our prior meeting minutes, we've shopped around for a couple different cybersecurity vendors. And this is DC3 is a reputable one that we've had a couple discussions with. I'm trying to find our section here.
Rick had asked on the prior meeting to get references in the master agreement, so we did, and they were really good. They were also, Sarah had a big part in this, asking TML to who they would suggest, and they are associated with TML.
Yeah, that's great.
I think our implement costs is the previous is a one-time subtotal of $2,719 with a monthly cost of $722.
Cheap with that's a big savings.
And that's replacing our current GCS vendor for the email subscription and hosting Microsoft, et cetera.
You know, the one question I had about this, and I'm not sure who this is directed to, was I see there's a quantity column on the order, and it looks like the numbers kind of vary. And I'm wondering what's some things we get 5 of, and some we get 3 of, and some we get 8 of.
That depends on the email, who had the user, basically. Like Joy, and the mayor would have more security than, or more options, I believe.
You have more of the Microsoft tools,
tools.
Enhanced capabilities, since the rest of us just have the basic Microsoft Outlook.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, some of it's related to the specific devices, like we have the laptop, Angie. So there's 3 city-owned devices as well.
I see. Okay. And then, so whenever it says 8, the Microsoft Entra ID P1 8, that's 8 users, which I presumably would be the council.
Council, Joy, help desk. It's all the emails that we have in place right now.
Okay. And then the Microsoft 365 apps for business is you and Joy and the mayor.
Yeah.
Okay. And why would we not all get that?
It's our computers, the computers that we own, that they have to secure our computers.
I see. Okay.
Actually logging remotely and things.
Yes.
And then the email essentials, there are 5 of those. Who gets
In
those?
those are the other council members.
Yeah, so the 5 council members, since I have the other enhanced that comes with the package with the
Okay.
city on device and all that stuff.
Okay. Does this improve our ability to use Microsoft Word as our email editor? I know this is kind of a technical question.
What do you mean by improving?
Well, I find the ability to create and edit emails in our Outlook system is very rudimentary and doesn't have a lot of the functionality that I'm accustomed to having. Like you can't cut and paste in Outlook. I can't.
You mean on the phone app or on the on your desktop? You log into Outlook.
I have that same issue. Rather than that, might I propose, rather than that be a blanket coverage, might that be something that could be specifically reimbursed? So if Councilmember Lee needed to purchase or get an additional license for Microsoft Word to utilize a tool that is favored, might that be an opportunity rather than, because I'm fine managing the way I am. I would rather not put it on a statement for regular use, but
Doesn't sound like it's part of this item anyway. We'll deal with that separately.
maybe it's
but
something
thank you.
that could be navigated.
Definitely. But we'd rather have you be able to use
I
it.
get that same
What is it?
issue.
Is it on an Outlook desktop client or like logging in through Outlook?
Oh, logging in through the web hosted.
Not logging in through.
Oh, interesting. 'Cause I don't have any.
Oh, I'm also on an app. I don't know if you don't. I just thought it was my computer.
Interesting. Okay.
Maybe you and I can troubleshoot and find some solution to it.
I can also reach out to GCS to see why y'all are having those issues.
Okay.
Our current ones.
I know you all don't like for me to use my own computer to create city emails.
Well, not that I don't like it, it just comes through my junk instead of the regular, and I have to go look for you.
Which I think should be an easy fix.
Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll get it sorted away. I think that's a good solution. So thanks for letting us know. Maybe I have this issue. I just haven't noticed. Maybe I'm not as much of a Outlook wizard as wait.
Well, I don't know if anyone.
I hope you are.
Were you expecting a motion on this? Or yes. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
All right, I'll motion to we approve the agreement.
Any additional questions? All in favor? All opposed, non-motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so that's item O. Or sorry, item P. The O is done.
Insurance. And
I'm wondering.
I think this proposed by Councilmember on the other.
Yeah, and I think we need to, okay, so let me go through the agenda because we rearranged a little bit. So Okay. If I'd like to, before we discuss, I'd like to move I, J, K, and I, J, K, and N to executive session, and then coming out of executive session, we can do that, and then we can also discuss G and H. Because Josh, I can move into executive session right now to discuss those items, right?
Yeah, if they're not listed, I would prefer you do a vote, though. If y'all are gonna do it, just to, vote to go into convene into executive session.
I'll go ahead and motion that we move into executive.
Because you want legal advice on those items? Is that right,
Yes,
Nick?
yes.
So I would like to, so I discussed moving I, J, K, N, so.
You said N before.
N, yeah, sorry, and N to executive session to discuss with council.
I'll second that.
All in favor? All opposed, none.
Who did the first motion?
Mayor.
Okay. Thank you.
So now are you, just gonna suspend the meeting?
It is, I am gonna go ahead and read it. All right, so now, okay.
You got a script?
I've got a script. Yeah, so. And Josh, do I have to read do I have to read the item specifically that I want to move into there? Or is that motion sufficient to say we're gonna move in to discuss items discussed in a motion? Because we have.
I just list the letters. You already listed them out, right? You read them out.
Okay. So the mayor and city council may adjourn into executive session any time during the course of this meeting to discuss any matters listed on the agenda as authorized by the Texas Government Code, including but not limited to sections 551-071 consultation with attorney, 551-071 consultation with an attorney, legal advice on the roles and responsibilities of city council members serving volunteer roles in other organizations, as well as items I, J, K, and N from the business section items of our agenda packet. The time is now 10:56 and we are moving into executive session.